So, what exactly is it?
Okay, of course, but actually, I'm not a doctor. but say, don't wait until your pain start controlling your life.
And then, but I am glad that you didn't give up. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. And we're so happy to have you today because we are going to talk about something that affects many people, but not everyone know much about it. And today's topic is endometriosis, and we have a very special guest today. She has opened about her condition, and she may you know her as a content creator or entrepreneur, but today she would like to share about her experience in this condition. She is Devi itsnaini. Hello Devi, thank you so much for being here, and how are you Devi?
Hi Zara, I'm fine, Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me today. I'm really happy and excited to share my story about endometriosis because many people still think that menstrual pain, or we call it dysmenorrhea, is a normal, but it's actually not. They can be a sign of a condition like endometriosis. That's why I'm here and I'd like to share and talk about it.
I totally agree, and I think that's why this conversation is very important, right? And
Yes.
so let's start with the basic, Jeffy. And then for people who never heard about endometriosis, so what exactly is it?
Okay, of course, but actually, I'm not a doctor. but this is how my doctor explained it to me. So basically, endometriosis is a chronic condition where tissue that similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus. Um, it can grow on the ovaries, the fallopian tube, or other organ around the pelvis. And even though the tissue is outside, it can still respond to hormone every month, just like the lining inside the uterus does. So, because of that, it can cause inflammation, severe pain, and sometimes scar tissue.
So it's not just about having the period cramps.
Yes, exactly. Because a lot of people think that menstrual pain or dysmenorrhea is normal, but for many women, it's much more than that. It can affect your daily life, your studies, your work, and even your mental health because you are dealing with pain over and over again.
That's something I think many people don't realize. And then so Devi, do the doctor know what the causes of endometriosis?
Unfortunately, not yet. Doctors are still doing research, so there is no single confirmed cause, but there are a few possible factors like genetics and then hormones, problem with the immune system, and something called retrograde menstruation, which is when some menstrual blood flows backward into the pelvic cavity instead of leaving the body. So it's definitely not caused by poor hygiene or something like that.
And what about the symptoms? Are they the same for everyone?
Not really, because every woman can experience endometriosis differently, you know. Um, but the most common symptoms are severe pain, and then pain in the lower abdomen, and then heavy or prolonged bleeding, even pain during or after sex, pain when using bathroom during your period, and sometimes mm, difficulty getting pregnant. But some women have only a few symptoms, and others experience all of them. That's why it can take a year before someone gets the right diagnosis.
Oh wow, I don't realize that the symptom could be different from one person to another. And then, if someone has really painful period, and when should they visit it to doctor?
So, I would say don't wait until your pain start controlling your life. If your period keeps, if your period pain keeps getting worse, and if it stops you from going to school, working, or doing your normal activities, it's a good idea to visit a doctor as soon as possible. Maybe it doesn't mean it's endometriosis, but it's important to find out what's causing it, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And now, guys, we understand a little more about endometriosis. And Devi, I'd really love to hear about your story. So, when looking back, when did you first feel that something doesn't right?
I think it actually started about a year before I was diagnosed. I had bleeding that lasted much longer than a normal period. As a Muslim, we call that istihadah, right?
Yeah.
Which means the bleeding continues beyond the normal menstrual period. And at first, I didn't think it was anything serious, you know. I just thought maybe I was stressed or my body was a little out of the balance. So I decided to visit a doctor, and the doctor told me that stress could affect my hormones and my menstrual period, and advised me to get more rest and then sleep well, eat healthier, and try not to stress too much. For a while, things actually got better. So I thought, oh, maybe everything's fine.
So, at the point, nobody thought that it was endometriosis, right?
No, not at all. Honestly, endometriosis uh, never even crossed my mind, you know.
Yeah.
But about a month later, the prolonged bleeding came back, and it kept happening. Around that time, I was also going through a really stressful period in my life, you know, and my eating habits were not good either. I was eating a lot of fried chicken and spicy food, and I barely ate vegetables. Looking back, I know uh, those things didn't necessarily cause my endometriosis, but they definitely were not helping my body.
And then, when did you realize that it was something more serious?
Hmm. Then one day, I had the worst pain I've ever felt. It was not like my normal my usual period cramps. I mean, it was much more intense. My lower abdomen felt really tight and sore, and the pain lasted for about 3 days. I remember thinking, this doesn't feel normal. That's when I decided to visit a gynecologist.
Oh wow, that must have been a scary moment, right?
Yes.
So, what happened when you visited the doctor?
Yeah, actually, I was really nervous. I went to the hospital with one of my closest friends because I didn't want to go through it alone. And after the examination and ultrasound, the doctor finally told me that I had endometriosis.
Oh,
Oh, I was only 20, right? And that time I was uh, shocked. I just sat there trying to process everything because I never expected to heard that diagnosis at such a young age.
wow, I can imagine how hurt you at the time, and then hearing something like that, such a young age, must have been difficult. So, Devi, how did you feel when the doctor told you that it was endometriosis?
Oh, honestly, I was speechless. I was shocked. I remember crying after I felt the hospital, and I kept thinking, I'm only 20. How can this happen to me? The doctor also seemed a little surprised because I still quite young, and at that time I had so many questions, and to be honest, I was scared about what would happen next.
You had go through that, and then but I am glad that you didn't give up. So, and then what happened after that? Did you start treatment straight away?
Yes, I did. At first, I followed the medical treatment. I took the medicine by a doctor prescribed and tried my best to follow the advice. But after some time, I didn't feel the improvement I was hoping for. So the bleeding was still heavy and my symptoms were still there. And yeah, so I started looking for another approach.
And I think a lot of people relate with that feeling. Sometimes someone hope the treatment will work straight away, but it will be frustrating if it doesn't. And then Devi, so is that you decided to try herbal treatment?
Yes, exactly. After thinking carefully and learning about my condition, I decided to try herbal treatment with a doctor I trust. At the same time, I completely changed my lifestyle. I became more careful about what I ate. I avoided foods with MSG, cut down on spicy and fried foods, and tried to eat more nutritious meals. I also made sure I got enough rest and managed my stress better. Because for me, it was not just about taking herbal medicine, but it was also about changing my daily habits too.
That actually makes a lot of sense. And then sometimes treatment isn't just about medicine, but also about the small choice to make every day. Did you did you making those changes?
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Mm.
About a month later, I went for another ultrasound, and the doctor told me that everything looked much better, and there were no signs of the endometriosis that had been seen before. Of course, I was really happy, but I also understand that endometriosis is a chronic condition, right? Even when the symptoms improve, it doesn't mean I can stop taking care of myself. So I still go for regular checkups, and I always try to maintain a healthy lifestyle because I know the symptoms can come back.
I'm really happy to hear you that you're doing much more better. And then I
Thank
think
you.
that an important reminder for everyone listening here that even if you are better, uh, taking care of your healthy is an important. And then so before we move on, is there anything people can do to reduce their risks to take better care of themselves?
So, as far as we know, there is no guaranteed way to prevent endometriosis. But from my own experience, listening to your body, it's really important. Don't ignore unusual symptoms and don't wait until the pain becomes unbearable. And even if you already have endometriosis, taking care of your physical and mental health can make a big difference. Because it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent and taking care of yourself every day.
Listening to your story, I realized that getting diagnosed, it was just the beginning. And then living with chronic condition isn't something you deal with just a few days or weeks. And then it's something that become a part of your everyday life, right?
Yes.
And then so what is really living with endometriosis?
Okay, honestly, it has not been easy. I think the hardest part was not always the physical pain, but it was the fact that people couldn't actually see what I was going through. And maybe from the outside, I look completely fine. I could smile, talk to my friends, and even go to class. But inside, I was in pain. And sometimes I pushed myself because I didn't want people to think I was making excuses. If I still had the energy to work, I'd go to class. But on the days when the pain becomes heavy, I had to stay home and rest. Even then, I felt guilty for missing class. I kept thinking, people cannot see my pen. Yes. What if they don't understand like that?
And I think that's something many people with chronic illness experience. Yeah, and sometimes just because someone look okay, it doesn't mean that they are always really okay.
Mhm.
And then so, how did you learn to cope all of this?
Yeah, so little by little, I learned to accept it. Instead of asking what is happening to me, I started asking what is this experience teaching me. It changed the way I look at my condition. I also become more aware of my body. I learned when I needed to slow down, when I needed to rest, and when I needed to ask for help. Uh, Most importantly, uh, I stopped feeling ashamed of my condition. And now I can talk about it openly because I know there are other women going through the same thing. So if sharing my story can help someone feel less alone, then I'm really happy to do that.
And I really admire that, Devi. And then turning someone so personal into something that can help to other people, that takes a lot of courage. And then I think this conversation exactly very important because like this matter. Okay, before we wrap up, there's one last question I'd really love to ask. You've been through so much, and I know this journey hasn't easy. And through everything you've experienced, what keep you going, Devi?
Okay, so for me, the biggest source of strength is my faith. As a Muslim, I truly believe that every hardship has a purpose, right? And whenever I go through difficult times, I remind myself that Allah never give us a test without wisdom behind it. And that belief gives me hope, even on my hardest days. And I also find a lot of story, comfort story, in the story of Prophet Ayub. He went through years of illness, loss, and hardship, but he never gives up and he never lost his faith and his patience. So whenever I feel tired or discouraged, I remember his story because it reminds me to keep going. And at the same time, I'm also grateful to have my family and my friends by my side. Their support remind me that I didn't have to go through this journey alone. And through this experience, I have learned that healing is not just about your body, but it's also about your mind and your heart. And the way we think, the way we take care of ourselves, and the way we choose to face difficult moments can make a real difference. And there is a quote that stayed with me for a long time is that a successful person is someone who can make peace with discomfort. So I believe that quote is true because life is not always comfortable, right? But sometimes um, maybe we cannot choose what happened to us, but we can choose the way we react or how we respond. And maybe endometriosis is a part of my story, a part of my life, but it doesn't define who I am. Wow. And yeah, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm still chasing my dreams. So I just hope my story reminds everyone that your pain is real, your voice deserves to be heard, and you are not alone.
Wow, thank you so much, Devi, for sharing that. And honestly, your story is really inspiring us. And then I think it reminds us that even difficult times, there always something we can learn and grow from. And then I also hope everyone listening your story remembers that severe pain isn't something you should just ignore.
Yes.
And then if something doesn't feel right, don't hesitate to visit the doctor.
Yes.
And then thank you so much again, Devi, for joining with us today.
You're welcome, Zahra.
And then, so guys, that's all for our discussion about endometriosis with Devi. And then we learned a lot, and it was very inspired. And don't forget to take care of yourself, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.